again. It's me. This is my attempt at making a significantly less cracked out video than I made last time. It's a plan. What are you gonna do? So, I'm not off to a great start. Okay, so I have decided I'm going to talk to you about the podcasts that I listen to every week, because it's kind of my new thing, and everyone's really sick of hearing me talk about them. What are you going to do? I spend like 8 hours a day listening to them, and then I have no one to talk to them about, and then I come and try to talk to my friends, and they all look at me like I'm insane, and who the hell cares about any of this? But I do. So, I'm going... Cassie's giving me a look, but she totally gives me that exact look every time I start talking about them. First off, I'm going to show you... This is my computer screen with my Zune software, and I'm going to go through the podcasts that I listen to, and I'm going to tell you about them. And that will be... It's almost like a show and tell, but there's not really like a lot of shows, so I decided to do it this way. Okay, so the first one on the list is called 1,000 Stories. These are just alphabetical, because that's how they show up in the thing. So, 1,000 Stories is one that I really like. It's done by this guy named Connor Mahood. He's Irish. Anyways, he has this idea. He has like this list of questions, and he wants to ask 1,000 people this list of questions, and just kind of like find out about their lives. And there's some really cool stuff on there. Like he asks them like if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be, and like when would you tell them it? Like what age? If you what do you know about love? What do you know? Just like, there's like 20 questions or something, and they're really cool. They're actually really like, they're pretty intimate, actually, in some ways. He's basically just like looking for people to interview. So I totally did tell him that he could interview me if he wanted, but we haven't like hooked up yet because he lives in Ireland and the time zone's weird. Also, it kind of freaks me out, but I totally will if he does. Anyways, so that's my first one, and it looks like I have a new episode of that, and there hasn't been one in like a month and a half, so cool. The next one I listen to, Cassie says that they probably think I have a weird snapping thing, but I do not. Cassie's messaging me. I do not. I was just snapping at my dog because he was being dumb and was being in the kitchen when he shouldn't be. The next one I listen to is A Prairie Home Companion, which is like 15 minutes a week or something, and it's just, I don't know. If you don't know what A Prairie Home Companion is, it's just a weird little story thing. The next one I listen to is Books You Should Read, which is pretty much what it sounds like. Sadly, they haven't had an episode in almost, I guess it's not even like a month, but still, it seems like a long time. They really only do like one a month, but it seems like a long time. And basically this guy from this website, Simply Syndicated, goes through, he does different themes and stuff, and sometimes they have the book club, which is like these 4 people from London, I think. And they do, like, different genres or something. It's really cool. I like it. Even though I rarely agree with their taste. Let's see. What else do I listen to? I have some things on here that I haven't actually listened to yet, but they looked interesting, so I've added them, and then I haven't watched them yet. So, probably the next one is Film Spotting, which, well, it's kind of what it sounds like. It is a podcast about films. My phone is texting. Yes, my phone is texting all by itself. This is not looking up as far as type of podcast. Oh no, I got 3 cots. Awesome. So, it's okay. You don't need to know what that means. Film Spotting is pretty cool. They run it out of Chicago. It's these 2 guys, Maddie and Adam, and they talk about movies like professional film critically. They actually talk like really hypercritically and stuff, and plus they do like games and different stuff. I really like them. So, they're pretty awesome. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Mars Hill Church podcast. I listen to the sermon feed on that one. New one of those every week. Let's see. Pop My Culture. This is one of my favorite podcasts, and if you guys listen to podcasts, which I have no indication that any of you do, but if you do, Pop My Culture is really funny. It's hosted by these 2 people, Cole Stratton and Vanessa Ragland, and they do like improv comedy type of stuff, and they have all these really super awesome guests, and yeah, so, and they're just really funny, just really, really funny. It's for like an hour. So, let's see, there's that one, and then there's whispering going on. And then there's Talkin' Tunes, which I just started, and which actually because the host of this one was on the Pop My Culture podcast. This has happened to me a couple times. So I started listening to his podcast, and it's hosted by Rob Paulson, who is the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, and like a bunch of other stuff, and he's just like seems like about the nicest guy in the world. His podcast isn't super entertaining. He's only done like 5 or 6 episodes, and a lot of times he just kind of talks about his upcoming stuff, like his upcoming engagements. He's doing like the show and stuff. But his last episode, he had Maurice, what's-his-face, who's the guy who voiced the Brain. And that was actually super cool. Like, they did the voices, and it was really awesome. And I've come to the conclusion that voice actors are like, they just seem to be really nice people. Like, I don't know. So, the next one is the Slash Filmcast, which is another one of my absolute favorite ones. This is hosted by 3 guys, David Chen, Devendra Hardwar, and Adam Kempinar, that's Film Spotting, Adam something. I have just blanked on his last name. Anyways, they're basically just like 3 friends who talk about a new movie each week, and then they also talk about like what they've been watching and like any film news type of thing. They're one of my favorites. They usually run like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I love them. And then they usually do an After Dark episode, which is like an extra 30, 40 some minutes, sometimes an hour, where they just talk about like little things. So there's that one. I'm going really long here, so I'm trying to run a bit. There is the Moth Podcast, which is a storytelling podcast. Just different people get up and tell stories. It's about 15 minutes each one, once a week. Super awesome if you like storytelling stuff. Very cool. What I've recently started listening to is the Parent Experiment, which I know I'm not like a parent and don't really like want to be a parent, but it's hosted by Lynette Carolla, Adam Carolla's wife from Loveline, which is not like inherently a draw to me, but I kind of started listening to it randomly, and it's actually, the guests they have are really interesting most of the time, sometimes not. Today I listened to a guy who wouldn't shut up about how we basically needed to like bathe in coconut oil and drink and eat everything with coconuts and we would live forever, and you were like abusing your children if you fed them meat. Most of the time though, I really like them, and I find parenting sort of interesting as a theoretical more than an actual, so yeah. So that's one I've been listening to a lot lately because I've been catching up on their back catalog. The Pod F Tomcast is another one that I found through Pop My Culture because they had Paul F. Tompkins on their show. He is super funny if you dig his sense of humor. He does one a month, although he's on hiatus right now for the summer. And I don't really know how he does like segments, he does voices and stuff, and then he does like a segment from his live show that he plays for you, and then in between he just kind of rambles to like pretty piano music that's being played by a friend of his, and he just sort of like goes off on these weird existential ramblings. They're strange. Trying to hurry this up, I'm almost done. The next one, Tobolowsky Files. I don't care if you listen to podcasts or not, you should listen to the Tobolowsky Files. Stephen Tobolowsky is an actor. He's been in tons of stuff. Most people probably know him from Groundhog Day, or more recently he was in Glee as like the original Glee teacher before Will took over. He's been a character actor for years, and he's played like 200 roles or something, but he is so funny and so interesting. There's actually a movie that sort of inspired this podcast called David Tobolowsky's, I think it was Stephen Tobolowsky's Birthday, something like that. And it's like a documentary. It's super interesting. I would advise watching that, and if you like it, then there's so much more on the podcast. Basically, every few weeks, he tells a story. It's usually like 45 minutes to an hour. He just tells like stories from his life and experiences in the different roles that he's done, and he's so funny and like charming, and not just funny though, like I've actually like cried a couple of times. Like he's just amazing, and you should totally listen to it. Two more to go. I'm almost there. This American Life, which sometimes I feel is irritatingly political and I don't listen to it, but the rest of the time they pick like a theme each week. Like last week it was like breakups, and they had different people from totally different like areas talk about breakups, and 3 or 4 acts, usually 3 or 4 different stories, about an hour. I dig it most of the time. And last but not least, I listen to the Thrilling Adventure Hour, which is like an old-time radio style podcast, kind of. Super awesome. Has tons of celebrity people who do voices and stuff. They actually do like a live action show in Los Angeles, and then they tape it, and some of it they put out as a podcast. They have a few storylines. My favorite is Sparks, Nevada, and Beyond Belief. One of the voices in Beyond Belief is, what is her name? Paget Brewster, who, if you watch Criminal Minds, she's the brunette in Criminal Minds, who's part of the team. Anyways, love it. It's got sort of this weird wry sense of humor. I love most of their episodes. They pretty much crack me up. So yes, I listen to all of these every week. I also listen to audiobooks and stuff because I work 40 hours a week at a job that requires pretty much no brain activity. But I can listen to my Zune. So that's right. I don't like iPods. I think they're crap. Hate their software. Like the Zune. Yay. Anyways, so those are my podcasts. I have now bored you with them, and you understand how everyone in my life feels and how they wish that I would stop talking about what I heard Dave Chen say on the Slash Filmcast the other day. What are you going to do? Talk to you later. Love you. Bye.